Bill, one of the things that I hear all the time from having worked in software is this notion that designers are kind of divas. You know, that they're kind of hard to work with, you know, they're kind of, you know, there's a lot of drama. And so I'd like to know from your perspective, number one, is that true? And number two, from a designer's perspective, what advice would you give to the non-designers in the audience, engineers, marketing folks, program managers, in terms of how to best work with designers?
Okay, design divas. Let's see.
Are you guys divas?
No, I think some of us are both right and left-brained folks. Like I've been at Microsoft and I've recently left. I was there for maybe 19 years, and I think some of us
Yes. Wow.
need to be kind of both right brain and left brain, be able to work with both sides of the fence, and I enjoy that part. I really enjoyed digging in deeply in some of the development capabilities, as well as being the designer, and at Microsoft really being a manager, being able to manage all those issues that happen. So for me, it was a good experience because I'm one that was able to develop or able to handle all those dimensions a little bit. But then there were some really talented people that I really worked to insulate from the big corporate culture, that we could still bring a lot of value out of them if they could be insulated the right way. Just because they didn't plug in perfectly with how things are done at Microsoft didn't mean that Microsoft really couldn't get a lot of value out of them. So as a manager, I really tried to attract these people and let them work on Macs. Let them do these things that
did anybody come after you?
Right? Yeah. No, not until after I left Microsoft. So yeah, that's the quick answer to that one.
Okay, so I want to ask you something that's sort of a more design-centric question, and we're going to bounce back and forth a little bit from very design-focused questions to more general sort of business issues. But it does seem like I really would love to hear your opinion on this. It seems like that the pendulum swings back and forth. That we've gone from a time where UI design, user experience is very flat and simple. And then over time, I think culminating in things like maybe Windows XP, Vista, everything has dimension and drop shadows and feels tactile, and it's like a solid 3D object. Now, it seems like we're going back to simple again. Is it, number one, is that sort of the right way of looking at where things are headed now? And number one, why is that? And then where are things headed?
Yeah. Let me try and tackle that. I would say a lot of it is in reaction to the other. When you get something so rich, you want to stand out. For me, that's been one of my motivations for design. Like with Encarta Encyclopedia, we had Windows 3.1 look and feel to deal with, and I didn't want anything more than just to get away from that as quickly as possible. People were arguing over, you know, how many, pixel shadows we should have on the gray buttons, and I just wanted to get rid of all of that. So it was really in reaction to a lot of that Encarta came about. And I would say a lot of the thinking behind Metro in this flat, clean, open world came in reaction to a lot of the shiny buttons in Apple, a lot of the glassy floors and brushed metal, and using all these industrial design type metaphors for software. I thought software's mature enough now to stand on its own. And we've got screen resolution now that can accommodate a lot more content, and we've got bandwidth that can handle content. So at some point it felt like with some of these things, we could take a different approach. And the approach really with Metro was taking some cues from just good print design. Good print design with good typography and good layout. Like, you didn't need a box around everything in print design. In software, we started by 640 by 480, and we had to delineate all that space, and we put boxes around everything, and that's how code worked. And at one point we wanted to get out of the boxes, like, let's do curves, and the devs, oh, we can't do curves. It's got to be, and finally, the development's been able to do curves for us, and then we're like, actually, we don't want curves anymore. we're going straight. So I think that some of the things from print design that had all this real estate and you could accommodate more white space and you could have more content freed us up a lot. And I think the other thing that freed us up to be really simple, like with, and I compare us to Apple a lot because in a way it was kind of trying to be a differentiation from that. When you're so simple and clean and basic, you just have a few elements to work with, like typography and the content that you have and the structure and the layout. That where do you get that emotion that you get with a shiny button, with a glassy floor and things like that? Well, now we've got more powerful platforms and we can bring motion into the experience. So having something flat, simple, clean, paired with good motion really allowed us to, I think, be something different.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a great, that's another dimension altogether is actually the animation and emotion and the speed and
huge dimension.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. So I actually do want to follow up with that because a lot of us find the Metro design so radical. I don't think that it's overstating to say that particularly for Microsoft, it's such a radical change that what were some of the risks, or what are some of the risks still for Microsoft having rolled out such a radical approach to something that impacts Windows and mobile and all of that stuff? And yeah.
Well, I think one thing, Metro was a little more quickly adopted across the company than I thought it would be. I thought we'd be arm wrestling everyone to try and align. One of the higher order goals was to get Microsoft products to start to feel like Microsoft products, like it's a family. It came from one company. It's a setup where different groups do their own different things and you got lots of variety of different designs. So one of the benefits of this is that it does feel like it comes from one company. Some of the risks are, I think, greatest with Windows, of course, because that's the biggest behemoth, and you've got all this legacy. So I think some of that risk was mitigated by the Windows team for Windows 8 by keeping their classic mode and not making big radical changes there, but doing more of the radical changes with the touch UI, the big, simple thing. So I think that's one way that the company is trying to mitigate some of that. But to be honest, I think Microsoft really needed, there might have been more risk to not do anything if you're Microsoft at this point. So I was surprised how quickly the design teams, I mean, the approach with Metro was more bottoms up rather than tops down. We would work with design teams around the company and they really craved kind of some direction, some leadership. If they felt like there's momentum in this direction, well, then they could talk to their leadership and say, well, instead of what you would like, there's momentum behind this particular direction. So it empowered, I think, the design team. And it was design principles that they all seemed to value and to recognize. So it helped. So.
Cool.
I think. And you need to have the right eye, you really need to have the right level of craftsmanship. So I think that's one of the biggest risks at the company is not every organization there is optimized to deliver on high-end fit and finish. They're more optimized around delivering as many features in as you can, and we have to cut some of this fit and finish stuff. So Windows Phone really had a different take and a different attitude. They really had to compete. So I think that's what they embraced, is more that high-end fit and finish design value, which needs to be baked in the whole organization to work.
Yeah, good. Well, I'll sort of get you off of Microsoft and Metro for. What are your honest professional opinions of some of the work that other software companies are doing? Like, what do you think of Google's designs or Apple's? And
well, it's interesting. I'm starting to see Google clean things up and open things up and simplify things. It's really great. Used to be 2 or 3 years ago, Google was arguing over exactly what shade of blue should our link be, and now I think they're taking some cues like Metro did from print and for more real estate, just keeping it really simple. I do think the advent of mobile has really played a role in the approach people are taking to software user experience, because you're forced to make things really simple to work. And I think that's played off well with some of the PC and desktop stuff. So I'm impressed to see Google out there. Let's see, other things that stand out for me. Let's see, there's Paper, which is a new iOS app that just came out. And I heard even today they were interviewed in New York Times commenting on the Instagram phenomena. And kind of like Instagram, they picked like one key activity and really did it really, really well. And I think it stood out. So go to Paper, it's a free app and you pay for pins. I mean, it uses the iOS as a sketch tool. But they focused in a lot of the detail. Clear is another kind of UI on the iPhone for me that stood out, because it didn't use all the iPhone system UI. It just went out on its own and to try its own world, its own system. So I admire people that really try and do their own thing and do something a little bit new and different.
That's great. Those are good references. Bill, there are a number of people in the audience tonight are designers or budding designers, or certainly at various stages in their careers. What advice would you give them as they develop their careers and think about what they should work on to have the kind of career that you've had, that you are having?
Right. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I had a special career at Microsoft because I started really early on. When I got there, I was designing dialog boxes and toolbar buttons. One of my claims to fame is the Office indent toolbar button, if you've ever used that. Yes, it still lives today. Let's see, would I recommend starting your career off at Microsoft and staying for 19 years? Not necessarily. That's kind of a unique, weird thing. Let's see, if I were a designer starting off, would I start at a big corporation or a startup or a design firm? Of course I'm going to say start a design firm, maybe a new one up in Capitol Hill. That's a great place. But really, I think a startup is an intimidating environment. That if I were starting off, I would want to make sure I've got some mentors and some more experienced designers that can really show me the ropes. You can get lost in a startup that way. You can get lost in a big corporation that way. So I would look for people that can help mentor you initially and trust in you and be a heat shield for all the crap that happens. And that's what I would do.
Cool. Okay, so I think one last question, is that right, timing-wise? Okay, so I'll make it a good one. Bill Flora. Or should we do like James Lipton, prolific designer? Give me one swear word that, no.
No.
If you could travel like back in time and actually have a dinner or coffee chat with any great designer or architect and really pick their brain and have them be your mentor, who might that be?
That'd be pretty easy. Probably Buckminster Fuller, just because he's a maverick and a genius, and he approached things differently. He didn't just extend what was already there. He took a big leap and tried something different. And he was a crazy guy too. So probably Buckminster Fuller, Ray Eames. Those are some designers I'd love to.
And how about someone present day?
Yeah, that's harder. I thought you might ask that, and I was thinking who. And I wish I had someone just to, you know, Yves Barr, Jawbone, Jawbox, and he's done, you know, the One PC. He's pretty interesting to me. You know, Saul Bass, I liked, again, a long time ago, but I love motion and graphic design. He was one of the first pioneers there. So
yeah, I didn't even know who Saul Bass was until I saw like a movie, a Hitchcock movie, and I was blown away. Right. Opening sequence. Yeah. So. Cool. Very good. Well, I understand we're out of time for this particular session, but Bill, I want to thank you for coming to this and really enriching all of us with your thoughts. You truly are a design visionary and doing amazing work, and you know, I wish you many more. And thank you so much.
Thanks very much.
Cheers.
I appreciate it. Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks.
And Bill, we hope you stay long enough to enjoy your scotch and perhaps another one. And because he won't say it himself, I really have to point out that we were actually in the presence of a couple of design and entrepreneurial visionaries, and I couldn't be more pleased to be temporarily sharing the stage with both of you.